Hey guys, welcome to the first Vacuumlabs Bootcamp webinar. I'm proud to be the first instructor of this webinar as well, to talk about two things that I love, service design and financial service. I hope you enjoy. Well, let me introduce, I'm Carolina Soares. I'm Service Design Lead here at Vacuumlabs. I've been working with service design, innovation, design thinking for more than 10 years, not only with financial services, but also working with technology, telecommunications, retail. It is really amazing to see how service design can really transform the business, and I hope you can feel this. I hope you can use this content to transform your business as well. But talking a bit about what I do right now. As I said, I work at Vacuumlabs, and I want to talk a bit about it. Vacuumlabs provides services around product strategy, product management, design, engineering, data science. Is really end-to-end. I like to say that you give us an idea and we make it real. We have clients in Europe, Asia, North America, and it's really in all stages because we have leading corporations, startups, scale-ups. It's amazing to see how we can help those companies to build amazing products, and I'm going to talk about some of them during this presentation. Okay, our agenda for today. We are going to talk about the customer experience area, then, of course, about this service design magic that I really like to share. Then we are going to talk about service design and financial services, what is the relation and how service design is really helping financial services to evolve. And also we are going to have a quiz where we are going to review the concepts and then the wrap up and the final thoughts, okay? But I have a disclaimer, however, because from now, we are going to overthink about service and customer experience. We are going to be aware about any problem. Of course, we hate when something bad happens when we are using a service. But right now, we are going to think about what is happening behind, what are the pieces that are disconnected. And probably you're going to remember me and you're going to remember this presentation. Sorry, there is no way back. So let's start talking about this customer experience era. I think we all know or have heard that we live in this customer experience era. I made an experiment. I put the word customer experience at Google and I got 177 results, which is quite expressive, and it's just a confirmation that yes, customer experience is a topic today. But let's understand better about this customer experience era, and I think it's pretty simple to understand when we look to the evolution from products to services. So in the past, if you wanted a pair of shoes, it was pretty simple. You go to the store, you get your pair of shoes, and it's done. Now, you have much more interactions. You can have those pair of shoes, you can go to the store. In the store, you have many new touch points where you can try those shoes, check if they are cool. You can personalize it maybe, you can check if they have your size. It's amazing, like the ecosystem that they have into the store. And also, they have the app. You don't even need to go to the store. We can order and personalize your shoes, your pair of shoes through the app. And if you think about other things that you can offer, well, Adidas, they offer even this app to help you to run. If you think about the amount of interactions that you have now with the brand, it's huge, it's amazing, it's completely different from what we had on the past. This is because of, well, everything we know, technology, digital, internet, so it's easy to build these interactions. But because of it, we need to put some flavor on those interactions, right? We need to differentiate, we need to reinforce our brand values maybe. And that's why customer experience is so important, because it's your point of connection with those interactions, right? Okay, but what does this really mean? We understood what is customer experience era. We agreed that we are on this customer experience era. We understood the difference about product and services, but okay, what is the impact? Well, people have liquid expectations. What it means, if I have my Spotify, and I know that Spotify is dealing with my data in a very cool way, they are suggesting me some nice music. They are creating playlists, is super proactive, and in the end of the year, they send me this journey on how much I enjoy that services with the musics that were in my top list. It's really amazing how they work with this data. And of course, if I have this service in Spotify, my expectation is to have those kind of experience in other services that I use, in other apps that I use. So the expectations are very liquid. When we talk about competitors, not really me as a bank competing with other bank, because the people are experiencing things that they want now to experience in other segments, right? Well, other thing, people don't react when it's good, but speak up when it's bad. It's a very sad reality, because when we are happy with the service, maybe we just take it for granted. It's the way that things should work, right? But when something very bad, or not even very bad, something bad happens, we share with the friends, we go to the website, we go to the page to talk bad things about this brand. So if you think about the customer experience, it's a huge impact for our brand as well. Well, another thing that is important to know, that finding an alternative, it's easier. You have a huge competition. It's so easy for the user, if he is not satisfied with something, to find a very similar thing, to try things, like to change the service. It's pretty easy right now, right? We search online something, you find a new provider, you just jump to other provider. It's really fast and it's really simple. It's not as in the past that we need to talk with people. We need to really find someone that it was perfect for you. And it's true that this context is evolving so fast, and we need to be able to adapt. It's interesting when you think about customer experience, because sometimes when we see some companies doing this or trying to do this, they maybe 5 years ago were happy with the customer experience that they were offering. But right now, because of the technology, because of these liquid expectations, well, everything changed. If in the past I could offer on onboarding in 1 hour to create an account, now 1 hour is a lot. We really need to think about ways to capture what is happening in the market and adapt fastly to it. But if you agree this is so important, that customer experience is on top of our list when you think about products and services, why it's so hard to deliver a customer experience? Why we have so many complaints? Why we have even this trust pilot? Because I love it, for me, it's like Inception, because you have a service to complain about the service. This is really cool. But why is so hard to deliver this? Well, we have some reasons here, or what is behind this customer experience. To deliver a good customer experience also means more work, resources, and time, of course, because it's not really something that you create a product and you create a service, okay, it's together with. No. You need to change the tools and methodologies that you have. You need to change the mindset and the skills of your people, of your team. You need to find an agreement between users, tech, and business, because I'm advocating for the user, but many times I need to recognize that the things I wanted to do for the users are not possible to do because of tech constraints. I need to fight against the UX washing. What is this UX washing? It's when we put a beautifier on the things and companies think that it's enough. Okay, if you make this app very beautiful, it's enough, and it's not true, because the really, really, really tricky part is what is happening on the backstage. The backstage will give you this experience that you're trying to communicate on front stage, right? But we are going to talk a bit about it later. We need to prioritize, because the customer experience is not one piece, it's like many pieces together, and we need to select where to start, and many times maybe you are going to make mistakes. So as you can see, customer experience is complex. I found this amazing number here: 86% of buyers will pay more for a better customer experience. It's a nice number to think about it, because you think, okay, it's just reinforcing what we know, that people really value it. But what is behind this number? This customer experience is not one pack or one thing that you can adjust and you generate a result. No, it's the sum of many touch points, of the result of many interactions. And this is really complex to tackle if you're a company, if you need to look this in an end-to-end perspective. And as I said, this is not static. It evolves over the time. You don't even know, like, those people who answer like this 86%, like what is a good customer experience for them. It's really relative. So we need to engage. We need to understand what is behind it. It's even more complex when we talk about banks, because we have other research here. I think it's really interesting because what customers say that they're not getting from their bank. So 62% is fun. 62% of the customers said that it's fun. They're not getting fun. I'm like, maybe I'm going to criticize this a bit, because if I want a fun, maybe I'm not getting this into a bank. Maybe I'm going out for a dinner with friends, but not in a bank. But I got what they want to say. Maybe they want to say that they want something to be easy. They want something to be clear. They want something to be smooth, let's say. But even we have other things that are pretty interesting. We see that customers are not having rewarding, or they are not emotionally connected. They are not feeling that the bank is integrated with their lives. A lot of opportunities that is related with customer experience. And we are going to talk also about, like, when we talk about financial services and banks, what is happening? Why it seems even more complicated to deliver those things. This leads me to this customer experience contradiction, because at the same time we know that it's needed, we don't know what to do about it. We don't know how to start. But guess who can reduce this gap or make things less complicated or show where to start or prioritize? Yeah, now we start talking about service design. I like to think this service designer is the experience delivery. We have this professional, the service design. He's all the time thinking about how to deliver the great experience, considering the constraints. Maybe here it's raining, maybe here the motorcycle is not the best, but he needs to deliver this experience. But okay, note here, I wish it could be this fast as this delivery experience, food experience, but it's not like this. It's much more complex, but we are going to understand today what we can do about it. So how we do this? First of all, we empathize and we research. Data is our main line. We need to know about the user, but not only about the users, about the employees, about the market, about the trends. We need to open our eyes, our minds, to be this radar to the market, to be the radar to the trends, to come up with the best opportunities that we can have, and to align the solutions to the real needs that we have right now when we talk about the service. We also map all user interactions and touch points. Do you remember that slide about the shoes, about the apps? Yeah, we need to understand the ways that this company will interact with the customer, and mapping if it's existent services, mapping how are those interactions, how are the moments of truth, how are the moments that I really value the most, or what are the moments that I'm not getting what I need, what are the blind spots, or what are the maybe missing touch points here in this journey. I organize everything in a very clear and shareable format, and I'm going to show you an example on how we organize this, because when we talk about service design, we organize things into this timeline, and it's important to know sometimes it's huge pieces of information, but we need to find a way to make it simple, to make this understandable, to engage this material with other people, because this is not for service designer, this is for the whole corporation. It's how the corporation should operate to deliver this customer experience. So we need to have in mind that the result, the output of this service design work or piece is something that should be really clear and simple to understand by others, by other departments. And over the time, we are going to engage those materials again with them, and they are going to provide feedback, and we are going to improve. It's like a never-ending process. We also do this improving front and back office. Again, when I talk about like the involvement of the departments, the involvement about other company pieces, let's say, it's because we are not paying attention only to what is happening on the front stage on this user line. We need to understand how it's being made or how we can put this together to offer this experience. Last thing, we do this also being pessimistic, I say, because many times when we think about this amazing experience, how this should work, we're just considering the happy path, the happy scenarios. But reality is not like this. And as a service designer, we should be able to deliver a solution in a very fast and convenient way as well. So if you have like the mindset of, okay, happy user, how I can delight, maybe you're going to forget to think about probably, or maybe because of an external thing, or maybe because we make mistakes, this user, he's going to face a problem at certain point, and I need to be able to react to it. So be pessimistic, really think about everything that can go wrong. Here an example of this piece of work that I was sharing with you. So we have this research, we understand the user, and we try to organize it into these stages and organize to map the touch points, as I told you, because those touch points are the moments of interactions. I also have the emotional journey. I map here if this user is happy, if this user is maybe worried, if it's user feeling unsafe. I try to map and I try to react to those emotions. I try to improve. I map the pain, and on the last line, as you can see, you have the opportunity. So you have this information organized over the time, and you also have the layers showing you what we have on each stage. It's pretty simple, right? When we see this way. But also behind the user journey, you have another level, because you have the service blueprint. The service blueprint is how the service should operate. So I identify the pains, I identify the opportunities, but now I need to put those pieces, backstage pieces together to deliver this experience. So I have here mapped the actions and the departments and the process and the technology and the system and the third parties and the data, everything that should function in a way that it's possible to offer this experience. And yes, we do lots of workshops in between, because we really need to gather the perspective of others. I don't have much knowledge maybe about the specific system that I need to have in place. So I need to talk about the technology with IT guys or with the experts to help me to map here how the services should operate, or how I can put the opportunities around it here. So the only way to gather this data, not the only way, but I would say that it's the most effective and fast way to gather this data and different perspectives through workshops. That's why we do this very often. That's why we are known for this post-it addictors. We are addicted about post-its, but it is really because this is a very useful tool when you need to put a lot of information together. Well, here I have another disclaimer. This is, of course, a very simplistic view. Reality is not like this. Even when we have this high-level journey that, of course, is helping you to understand the end-to-end service, but in the reality, sometimes you are going to go deep into one flow or into one interface. If your product is 100% digital, probably many steps that we have here are not going to be used. So we're going to have a lot of flows inside the same app. So the reality is much more complex than this. Maybe I can have, 30 journeys for the same product covering different moments. And if I talk about the unhappy pets, it's even more. It's really complex. And that's why I think it's funny when client says, okay, my bank service is 100% digital, just one touch point, so it's easy, it's just an app, and we know how an app should work, we copy. And I'm thinking about Jesus, he can't imagine all the things that it's around this one touch point. The aggregator, the web page, the FAQ, social media, the notification, the physical card, like is never that simple. We have this bunch of elements that are building or that are necessary to provide this service in this one touch point. Okay, and let's talk a bit more about the touch points and why touch points are that important for service design as well. We need to think that services are intangible, but the moments of interaction are the opportunities that we have to shape this customer perception. It's the opportunity that we have to delight the customer. It's the opportunity to show our brand, to show our values, and that's why we care that much. The touch points give this tangibility to services. Every time I think about touch points and the service design, I think about Tinder, it's a match. We are obsessed about touch points. We need to, like, maybe it's my first question to the client. We need to map, like, well, okay, but besides the app, do you know all touch points that you're going to have? And I guide them to better design those touch points. Even when we have like this, the case of the client, okay, it's just one touch point, but behind the screens, we have many things. We have the service principles and conditions, the experience consistency, the notification logics that it's other touch point in the service recovery, the back office tools, the connection with other touch points, the data and information flows, the support, the guidance, offboarding, because many times we think about the onboarding, this amazing onboarding, but nobody thinks about the offboarding. We have the connection with the reparts and services and the physical touch points that you might have, like in this case, the credit card, you're going to have this physical touch point. So that's why we are so obsessed, because we are aware that they are the opportunities and they are not that simple. One question that I receive pretty often is about the difference about service design and UX. Many times people say, okay, but I have a UX in my team, maybe I don't need a service design. Well, not like this. The service design has the end-to-end perspective. You have this high-level end-to-end view about how the user would interact with a service over the time. It's not only about the moment that I'm using this device, this app. I'm also thinking about the moments I'm not using this device, but I may need some assistance, but I may need something. Service design is the experience of all touch points. So let's suppose again that we have to send this credit card. Of course, I'm not going to send the credit card without instruction, or I need to think about the letter or how we are going to connect this to the app, how we are going to better assist, like because we need to input some information from the letter to the app, how we can do this in a simple and good way for the user. Service design brings together other streams. When I say streams, I'm saying like other departments. So maybe the UX he's pretty much focused on the flows of the app. He's not talking about operations on the departments. And in case of the service design, this is mandatory. Every time we try to bring other perspective. And service design is not user-centric. Well, because today we hear like pretty often, oh, user centricity, put the user in the center. Yeah, it's true. We do this as well. But we go beyond. We think about human beings. We think about how all humans are using this service. We are using about the other end users, because if I'm thinking about, okay, back office tools, if I'm thinking about the operators, they are going to be my user. So I'm not only thinking about this user of the end user of my product, but also the users in the whole blueprint that I have. What are the departments that are there? Are they going to have a great experience? Are they going to have the right information, the right process to deliver what I want? So it's a very humanistic approach. Here is just a visual picture of the difference about the user experience. I think it's self-explanatory. User experience, this amazing professional with one device, one thing. In the service experience, I'm thinking about the touch points, I'm thinking about the journeys, I'm thinking about other moments and opportunities. I'm orchestrating this. So why service design is even more relevant when we talk about financial services? Well, we all know that banks have a very, very bad reputation or lack of trust. Is the same with financial services. People don't really trust. People often see the banks as villains that are not in favor advocating for the user. I personally think I understand, I can empathize, but I personally think that we have a great opportunity to help people's lives, right? To transform those lives through money. We are going to talk, it's here, money is everywhere. Money is like moving the world. And because of it, our service is so, so, so important. It has this high overview of our lives. So that's why I think it's so relevant. But going back, okay, back, bad reputation, this periodically interaction. So it's not something that is one shot that I buy and it's done and maybe next year I'm going to use. It's something that we use often, use many times per week. We think about it many times. You have also a long-term relationship. If we think about, okay, our journey with our bank, maybe I'm client since I was 15 or 17, and I'm going to be client to the end of my life, probably, if this bank is serving me good. And to think about this partner in life, this provider, this forever provider, it's really nice. We talked about money. Money is everywhere. That's why I think it's that relevant. It's for multiple targets and segments, of course, because it's everywhere, because money, it's all the time. We need to address specific needs, specific targets. Also, a mistake is a big mistake, and this is double way, let's say. Me, as a bank, as a financial services, I really need to pay attention on my systems, about the security, because any mistake I do, I'm going to impact money. And money, again, it's a really important thing for many people, for families. You will know I don't need to talk about the importance of money and if you make a mistake about the money. And the other way is also true, because people are afraid to make mistakes on the way they operate this service, right? Banking, it's hard to understand. We jump into the last one, but banking is very hard to understand. It's very it's not self-explanatory. We hate math, let's be honest. So when we talk about this, when we talk about the service around it, we need to provide much more guidance. And here, technology and open bank, I think we have a huge, huge, huge sea of opportunities to improve our services. So service design is the methodology that will help you to do this. So service design can be the difference from this branch, like people super unsatisfied. Well, there is a person that it's smiling, but I think just because she realized the camera. But it's the difference from this terrible service, waiting times and huge queues, to this. Yeah, and this branch is real. This branch is in Singapore. When we talk about service design, the branch is another touch point. It's one more touch point, and we can design in a way that people feel safe, that people feel happy, even fun, if it's the case. They have this robot here. They use the technology in favor. It's really cool. So how service design can improve financial services? Well, in many scenarios, in many different ways, in many instances. So here is just an overview. It's just some examples. It's not like, okay, this is definitive list. No, just some examples on where we can improve. But I'm going to give you some specific examples, okay? So let's talk a bit some of those opportunities that we have. The first of all, it's designing new services. Of course, a service design can help you to design a new service. I have here 3 examples. The first one is Blink. Blink is a service in Bolivia. What is the problem? What is the user problem in Bolivia? Well, people many times they live in remote zones. They don't have many ATMs and they need cash to pay for the services. Of course, their remote zone is just cash is the only way payment that they can use. So what you can do, you can order the money, and then is this card that it's serving as an ATM. It's bringing you the money that we need, whatever you are. We have also Cushion, that it's a new service that it's negotiating the fees that we have in your banks, in your cards, because many times you we have some fees, we have no idea, it's super hard to control the fees. So what do? We connect to Cushion, and Cushion is fight for you. He is check if the fees are okay, if it's going to check if there is any opportunity to not pay those fees or to improve the situation. And we have the example of Revolut. When you talk about new services, Revolut is amazing example. How is the service evolving over the time? So in 2015, they have just two main services. And now if you look at the picture, I think it's even bigger because this is 2000. And it's really interesting in the service design point of view, how they are integrating this into this app, how those services are syncing together, how they are crossing opportunities here. So it's other thing that a service design can help. Okay, designing for specific targets. I have 3 examples. As we said, we need to research the user, we need to research the specific needs, and we have many opportunities about niche products or products for specific segments. Alinea, for example, is this mobile investing app with this mission to empower Gen Z. They want to create the new generation of the investors. And when we talk about it, of course, we can't use the same tools that we have for adults or people that are investing for a long time. We need to really face the problem as, okay, first-time users, what can I do to engage them? So they really bring here this social perspective. You can invest with friends. You can create this playlist. So playlist is a portfolio of stocks, is the way how they call, and you can copy just as Spotify. You can copy the playlist of a friend, so you can see how the playlist is going, and you can copy. So it's based on social. They are designing for this specific target. Another example is Daylight. Is one of our clients, and Daylight is a bank designed for the LGBT plus community. One thing that I found super interesting, of course, they have many things. When I talk about services, again, those are just the specific examples. When we think about how they did this, is where the service designer were suffering or putting the effort. Here is just the examples that are nice to see. But here, one example that I really love and I really want to share with you, it's this Call by My Name. So you don't need to use your legal name, what the ID says. You can put the name that you want on this card. And maybe can seem very simple for us. We never thought about it. We never thought how hard it would be not having the name that you identify with the card. But they really empathize with the users and they offer this. And here we have also other example that I really like. It's Karat, because it's a neobank for content creators. And when we think about content creators and we think like main important asset is not maybe the income, but the number of followers or the social stats that they have. And it's exactly what they ask for this new user. So when you want to open an account, what they're going to ask is about your social stats, and then you're going to analyze if you can be a customer and how they can score the risk through this. Other example is talking also about the specific targets is designing for seniors, because I brought this because this is a concern that I have myself, like how we are caring about digital, about new generations. We talk a lot about modern things, but at the same time, I feel like seniors, they are not connecting with this that much. It's true that with Candy Crush, many seniors know how to deal with digital in a fun way, but they want this experience as well in the banks. They want to clearly understand how it works. They want to be guided. They have specific needs. And I'm not talking about, okay, put the letter bigger so I can read better. No. In the case of seniors, for example, this project is from BMO, they found out that the seniors are super afraid about asking help. So the help should be proactive from the bank. I need to have this visible call to action that I can easily ask for help without feeling that I'm like disturbing someone or that I'm not good enough or smart enough to do this. I need to feel that it's a very natural thing. And they change it and improve the app and the digital services based on it. I can also design new process. So here we have an example from Tesco, how they redesign the complaints. As I said, like bad things are going to happen and we need to cover this. We need to understand that maybe at a certain point of this huge experience, something bad is going to happen. But it's more about how we are going to react, or if you have the right tools to react to this fast. And to those specific process that we have and you want to improve, the service design can be used. In the case of Tesco Bank, they want to transform the complainers into advocates. So they want to provide this such good experience when they have a problem that in the end they are like more amazing than upset. Another example of processes on the right is when we talk about onboarding and KYC. That is something that I'm sure that if you work for financial services, is something that we face in our products, how to make this easy, how to make this fast. So here we have an example just comparing the onboarding of Dave and the onboarding of Stash, how Dave has like many less steps if you compare. It's true that we also need to consider that maybe it's not about only reducing the steps, because we really need to guide that maybe it's not the right metric depending on the service. I brought this because I'm also facing here at Vacuumlabs, we have a project for a customer that it's never used the credit card in his life. And of course, if I want to make simple, but at the same time, I need to provide great information so he can understand what he's doing. Sometimes a client says, I want onboarding with 5 steps because I want this to be really fast. Okay, I understand, but is what the user needs, or is this the best experience that you can offer for the user? Just having this amount of screens as a metric, I don't think so. Or the time, or like, okay, 7 minutes is not always are the right metrics, let's say. We design back office tools. I've been talking about it. We have here 2 examples of projects from Vacuumlabs as well, just to show you how we care about the back office. The back office is just as important as the front end tools that we have. It's just as important as our apps, our websites, the things that the end user are interacting. Here, our end user really are the customer agents, really are the operators of the system. We engage with them, we ask them what do they need in terms of information, how we can make their work easier so they can better assist the client. So it's just some examples so you can see the scope of our work. We also design complementary services. So for example, Bank of America, they launched this life plan to help clients to prioritize goals, financial goals. Maybe you think, okay, but this is pretty common. But if you think that, okay, but it's not the main service, like as a bank, I don't need to offer this. It's a nice to have. It's a complementary service because I understand if this guy takes care of the money, he's going to be better and he's going to be a better client as well, right? But in this case, the way that they bring the information, like you need to prioritize, and after you prioritize, you can create key tasks. I feel that this is really cool. Other 2 examples, Venmo, that within the app, you can also find a charity. This is a pain point probably for most of us, because many times we want to help, we want to donate the money when we don't know how or where. Should be a simple thing. So if it's within your money app, it's easier, right? And Dave, I love this example from Dave because many times I think about it like, okay, the banks are helping us to save maybe money, how to save or how to invest. But many times you want to make money, we feel that we can make more money, right? And they provide also the services to earn extra cash. So we can find a gig job or a part-time work where you can earn some extra. Design flexibility is also a thing that we do very often. Here we have two examples from Vacuumlabs as well. We have Zvilo, that is an app, neobank in Balkan. So we they found out that in Balkan there was this huge diaspora. 6 million people, they now live in the US, and they need to find an easy way to send the money from Balkans to US. So it's double currency, for example. So we need to map, you need to understand your users and the services to really map the needs. Mox is our client as well. They have this flip feature. So easily you can flip it to, if you have a debit card, you can flip to a credit card, and it's one click. It's really fast and simple. And the last example is Curve, which is a flexible buy now pay later. And I like this because you can go back in time. So if I made a purchase using my credit card, but now I want to put it in my debit or debit credit, you can change. You can go back in time and change the way you are going to pay. Designing format, information, and guidance is also in our scope when we talk about service design. So here we have this example of Moniz, and you can see the before and after. This is a transaction page. So it's not only about the visuals, but it's understanding the needs. So many times for people, it was very hard to understand this transaction from where it is. So they bring here very clear the logo on the picture. And I really like it because on the bottom, you can see your relation with this provider, with your relation with Tesco. So I know that this month, how much I used, how many times I went there, the comparison between the mounts. So it's a really interesting feature. It's another level of information that it's great to give to the user. We have Gaugao. Gaugao is another example from Vacuumlabs. It's an app to help young people in India to better use the money. So because it's for the young people in India, we also need to think about the format of this information. And if you see here on the bottom, it's written your stories, you have before and unseen stories. So if you think it's like Instagram, so it's not about only bringing the information that is needed, it's like the format of this information. And the last example is from HSBC in Hong Kong. This case was awarded because of this amazing onboarding. I really like this part because they summarize like the key terms for you. Sometimes you think it's pretty simple. Okay, use of your data, termination of service, like who doesn't know about it? But yeah, again, depending on the culture, depending on your segment, we need to provide more guidance. We have the opportunity to improve. We can design better interactions. It's not only about, okay, these specific touch points, but okay, what is happening. When I talk about design better touch points, I'm talking about those specific interactions around those touch points. So for example, here we have the chat of Capital One. It's Ino. I love this example because this virtual assistant, he can also, on top of everything that he can do, if you ask a joke, like, tell me a joke, he's going to answer and he's going to answer a joke using money, which I think it's pretty nice. And we also have Mozo. He's an example of how proactive they are. So we have a customer that was really worried because she bought some tickets and she can't receive the confirmation and she needed to cancel. And on the right, it's another example of how Mozo is proactive. The payment was canceled by the bank. She doesn't know why. But when Mozo replies to her on Twitter, she says, okay, it was solved because I could solve it in another channel. So it's not only having like one service recovery way, but two offering many points where you can assist this customer. And just to pause for a fun fact, we were talking about chatbots and we were talking about the from Capital One. I decided to play a trick on Revolut chatbot. I asked to the chatbot something very simple, something that I knew how to do it, and it was change my passcode. And yeah, it took a lot to the chatbot to be able to provide me the right information. Actually, real assistants had to jump on it to help me. And it was a very, very, very easy thing to do. I did this because of the rise of ChatGPT. People were and we are so amazed by ChatGPT. And again, because of the liquid expectations, if I have this experience with ChatGPT, I want this experience in the chat of the products that I use. And in the case of Revolut, the reflection that I do is okay. Many times you put a lot of effort creating new services or putting this in a nice screen, but what is happening on the other in the other instances of services, like in the chat, in the assistance, is really tricky, as you can see. And many times is not a priority, sadly. We can also design experiences around physical touch points. And when you talk about physical touch points, we've seen branches, right? But it's not only about it. It's about, okay, branch is something that it's really huge. There is a huge cost, but sometimes we can optimize. We can have those kiosks. One bank is a bank focused on elderly, on seniors. So they are trying to optimize the services to put this, to have more brands, but in a more simple way, as you can see. We have another devices to pay, for example. So we have this example from Visa and Addishin Bank. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. And how we are integrating these new ways of payment that are evolving so fast on our things, right? And Alexa, for example, from Capital One. Capital One was the first bank to implement this assistance in Alexa through Alexa devices. So it's also about thinking about the physical touch points, but not only about the branch or the physical card. It's about like how the technology is evolving in a way that I can integrate my services into those touch points, new touch points. About this one device, again, I think like you are tired of hearing this, but fall in love with data. Again, data is our entry point. It's our main resource. It's everything that we have to start designing, to advocate to the user, right? About gathering data, I have some examples because it can be really abstract when I talk about gathering data. But just to share with you 3 different examples. CaixaBank is an amazing bank in Catalonia, in Barcelona, and they have in this very innovative building this insight store, this insight center. What is this? Well, it's the place that they receive the users to do the user testings, to test their products, to test their assumptions, to test the new opportunities. So, for example, they have 2 ATMs just to try new prototypes on the interface of the ATMs. They have a reproduction of the home, of the living room of a user, of any user, to simulate they are calling to offer insurances, so how he could react to it. It's really amazing. I was completely happy to see such a good example that a bank is really caring about the user data at this level, at this stage. Other nice examples from Monzo. Monzo, I don't know if you know, you can be part of this community forum. Many professionals are in the community just to gather some insights, some data, but basically it's a very straight conversation with the users. Like the users can talk about the things that they like, the things that they want to see next in the app. So it's a very fast thing. It's live. It's a very dynamic, and it's really, really big, this community. So it's another great way to gather the data. And here one example from Vacuumlabs, because before we launch the products, of course, for our clients, we do user testing. So here is an example of the user testing for a credit card and how this testing changed many assumptions that we had, even like how the user should visualize the money. If it's like increasing, the money that he's spending is increasing, or the money that is spending is the other way, it's decreasing, so he can see that it's like almost reached the end. So 2 different ways of visualization that we could not decide, then we do this user testing to do this. But then, okay, we have this amazing research here What challenge do you face in achieving a truly customer-centric organization? And here I read functional silos prevent customer data sharing. Um, yeah, we have a many challenges when we talk about the data. We don't know what to do. Many times you know how to capture. We can overcome the constraints to capture this data. We have this data, but we don't know what to do with it. And again, the main contribution, I think I would say, for service design, if you have to think about, okay, from this webinar to have something that I really want you to remember is this, that like we are the guys who are going to make sense and organize all those pieces of information, actions into a journey showing to the organization all the levels and all dependencies on opportunities and all pays. It's this piece of work that can concentrate the data effort around the year project. But then, okay, it's true that gathering is not enough, right? We need to analyze, we need to do something with it. We have other challenges here in the research. We see the challenge to achieve a truly customer-centric organization. They are related many times to data. When I talk about service design, if I want you to remember one thing about service design is this: we can organize this data, we can organize the information, we can put this together, we can find together some solutions, we can find the blind spots, the misalignments that we have in the corporations using this data. So if you're lost, if you like don't know where to start, if you want to create this human-centric product or service, yeah, gather the data, but don't worry, because we have some ways, some methodologies, we have the journeys, we have the blueprints to show, to organize, to show you, and to organize this data in a very simplistic way. And just to give you a wrap up about it, some things that I have in mind when I design a service. Well, people need small chunks of information. Sometimes you want to optimize the things, and I understand, especially when we talk about digital, but we need to guide. We need to go baby steps, step by step, providing the specific information for that step, for that context. Other thing is we can't solve everything. Like many times, and we are aware that like we can't overcome or we can't solve all problems that you may find in your journey. Like one example that I give, it's when I was doing a project for an airline company. Going to the airport and like the journey in the airport is really painful when the airline like there is nothing to see with this, but we can explain everything, we can prepare, we can set expectations. So even when you don't have the perfect scenario, you don't have the perfect tools to give to this user, we still have the power of communicating and setting expectations. Other thing that I have in mind is people want fast services, but sometimes they need time to think. So there are many, when you talk about financial services, there are many moments of decisions that we need to think about the best option. And we should not pressure the user. We should guide the user rather than sending an email reminding, okay, there is only 1 week to answer this. It's like, okay, can we help us to better take a decision on it? Can you help us to explain you again what we have here? Because yeah, they are under stress. Any decision, especially when it comes to money, it's very painful, it's very stressful. People love stories, so use it in your favor. Try to tell a story, try to explain the things, try to be fun. A nice screen is just the top of the iceberg. As you've seen, I fight against the UX washing. I hate to think that we sometimes we use shortcuts to do the things in a beautiful way, but it's not working on when it comes to operations. So a nice screen is not enough, and everyone makes mistakes. Be pessimistic, cover the unhappy beds, try to cover everything that can go wrong, because it's going to be wrong. At a certain point, this thing and everyone makes mistakes. So be pessimistic, think about the things that can go wrong, and think often about those things, and make sure that we have right tools to solve those. So thank you for the participation in this webinar. I hope you enjoyed the time. I really love talking about it. So for me, it was a great moment. My contacts are here, of course, because I'm a service designer. I put the QR code here. So go ahead, add me at LinkedIn. Let's connect, let's talk, let's share our experiences. Let's do better services. Thank you.